joining us today on Shot TV. We're talking about the flow of traffic. The city has 4 areas that it says will be synchronized by the end of the year. This is one of them, Bishop Grandin, from Lage down to Kenaston. Once the Fort Garry Bridges projects, the construction's done, traffic should be flowing smoothly. As well, there's 3 other areas the city is working on to have done by the end of the year. That's Lage-Modier Boulevard from North City Limit to the South City Limit, Main Street from Higgins Avenue to the North City Limit, and Pembina Highway from Confusion Corner to the South City Limit. Today on Shot TV, we'll be talking about what other 4 areas the city wants to see synchronized, what some of the challenges are when you're trying to improve traffic flow, and why synchronization is so important. Right after that, Shot TV's Kim Babbage will talk about a big search this weekend. They need your help finding a very rare orchid, but we start things off with synchronizing the lights. Shot TV starts right now. This piece of equipment here is helping Winnipeg be on the leading edge of synchronizing lights. Louis Escobar joins us now, and I want to get to what this piece of technology does, but first, can you explain to us how synchronization works? Because the idea of synchronizing lights when you've got cross streets and traffic, and how does the technology work?
Well, the technology that we're using is it's new to Winnipeg. It has been used in other cities, but not in the way that we're using it. We're integrating existing technology that we've had for 35 years, integrating that with this technology and also with another type of technology, which is basically a cell phone modem. So integrating all these 3 different methods of communication is leading edge because nobody else has done that yet. The way the synchronization of a signal system works is by thinking of a traffic signal timing as a pie, and we have slices of green time for each direction. So what we're trying to do is that if you think of each intersection as a pie, we're trying to align all those green slices together in the same direction so that we move traffic without stopping as often. You will stop because that's part of the system. That you can't avoid that. But we're trying to reduce the number of times that you stop, and we're trying to make sure that everybody travels at a consistent speed. We try to do it so that you travel more or less at the speed limit, more on the side of less of the speed limit. That's how we design it. And if you travel at that speed, just below the speed limit, you should be able to travel across most intersections without stopping.
And this also takes into account our weather and pedestrians. And when you talk about the green light, Winnipeg very specifically has timed those green lights so that pedestrians aren't freezing their butts off at corners as well.
Correct. We limit the amount of time that we serve every movement to no more than 120 seconds, because we don't want people to be sitting out on a windy, cold day trying to cross a street, and that's why we make one of those limitations.
And it's interesting as well, and I don't think I ever thought of Winnipeg in this way before, but we talked about different cities in Canada and how, I lived in Vancouver. It could take me up to 2 hours to get to work. That just doesn't happen in Winnipeg. Right. And our footprint is a lot larger than I thought.
Oh yeah, we're if you look at just the square footage of Winnipeg, the footprint of Winnipeg, compare that to Calgary, Edmonton, or other cities in Canada, it's quite large. The other day I was looking at some cities that I've been to in the U.S., and we're about the size of Houston, Texas.
And I had no idea, but the difference is the longest it's going to take you to get from one side of the city is about an hour.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, it could be an hour. There are exceptions where it could take a little longer, but for the most part, within an hour you can get in and out of the city through downtown. But on a really good day, you could probably cross the street in less than 40 minutes.
And the idea of synchronizing as well, there's an immediate response. If there's an issue, if there's a huge car crash at one intersection that's blocking traffic, this technology helps you respond to that immediately.
Yeah, well, immediate meaning I don't have to send somebody.
Right.
We could respond within an hour or two. Once we find out what the problem is, we can I can ask my technicians to review the timing, how we can adjust it, and we can now that we have the signal system established, we can adjust the timing so that we can reroute traffic or modify the timing so that people can take alternate routes.
And you also have to adjust that timing every day, because the same as your computer at work, it actually will be off by a little bit every day.
Every day we make sure that all the clocks on the intersections are synchronized, because otherwise it doesn't matter how much time we spend making sure that we have the right amount of green time. If the clocks are not synchronized, then we run into problems.
So why is it so important for traffic to be synchronized? And I'm sure people at home know the obvious answer, it's just less frustrating. But what are some of the other reasons?
Well, one of the major issues right now is pollution. We want to make sure that we reduce pollution. We want to make sure that each signalized intersection has the smallest pollution footprint or environmental footprint as possible.
So no idling.
Correct. Yeah, reduce the idling. Synchronizing or making sure that we move traffic without stopping is also an economic benefit to the city, because the industry passes their costs to the consumers. So the more we reduce the delays on traffic for commercial vehicles, the more we save money for people in the city. We also make sure that we have to address the needs of everybody, from somebody who drives a car, a motorcycle, a bicycle, somebody who bikes, to the truckers, bus drivers. So we have a large range of users that we have to accommodate at each signalized intersection.
What a complicated spider web trying to get that all to fit together. And there must be a lot of challenges. And I mean, cross streets being one of the biggest challenges.
That's the obvious one. A cross street that has a lot of traffic is one of the major problems, and many times one of the biggest constraints in making sure that we can move traffic smoothly through a main road. So, for example, if you take Kenaston, Grant is one street that is major across Kenaston. You have Sterling Lyon, we have McGillivray. So we have to make sure that we move traffic on Kenaston without penalizing the traffic on the side streets significantly to the point where we're creating excessive delay for them. So it's a big balancing act in how we do the timing. And timing the signal today, it's going to be great for 2 days, but it may not work well for the end of the week, but it may work better next day. So we always have to be ensuring that we review the timings as soon as possible, or very frequently, to make sure that we address all the changes in traffic throughout the year.
How do you think Winnipeg compares to other cities in terms of the flow of traffic that we currently have?
I think we fare reasonably well compared to other cities that are of the same size as Winnipeg and the same amount of population in Winnipeg. We seem to be moving traffic fairly well. Like I said, you can cross Winnipeg within 45 minutes through downtown, and it's very hard to do that at many other cities across Canada. I've been to many cities in Canada, the US, and Europe, and I still come back to Winnipeg and say we move traffic really well, but we try to make sure that we don't sit there and say, yeah, we move traffic well. No, we try to make it better all the time. So that's our challenge, and we try to meet that challenge every day.
And you're counting, of course, on drivers to be doing the proper speed limit. And part of the reason synchronization works is if you're not speeding, or you're not somebody who's driving too slowly as well. We talked earlier in the show about some of the four main areas that you plan on having synchronized by the end of the year: Bishop Grandin and Lagimodiere, Pembina. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other four areas: St. Mary's, St. Anne's,
St. Anne's, McPhillips, and Portage Avenue. Yeah, and then we have another set of 4 streets that we'll be doing. I believe it's Grant, Henderson Highway. Now you got me with the other streets, and we're going to be taking the downtown as a separate entity, and we're going to try to coordinate the traffic through downtown, and that's going to be a very interesting challenge, because it's not like the other streets which is linear. Downtown is more of a network, and so it's going to be a little more interesting for us. It's going to pose different challenges, but it's going to come with simpler problems. For example, in downtown, we don't need to set up a lot of sensors to make sure that we address traffic, because for the most part you have traffic all the time. So we can simplify the way the intersections operate. So that helps us in addressing the problems of the network in downtown. So,
well, keep this in mind when you're driving next, how much work goes into trying to keep traffic going smoothly. Thank you very much for sharing this with us.
Yeah, you're welcome.